I guess we can get into this news because I believe we're on the same page here on what's happening on the Twitter sphere. And that is that according to James Rapien of Sports Illustrated Cincinnati Bengals on SI, the Cincinnati Bengals plan to use the non-exclusive free franchise tag on Tee Higgins for the second straight year. So it sounds like they're not going to allow him to hit this market. They're going to throw the tag on him and potentially sign him to a long-term deal. I want to get your thoughts on that, Taylor, but we can also throw this question into the mix. If you miss on Tee Higgins, what do you think about trading back into the first round and grabbing sort of one of those tier 2 receivers if you don't end up with Tet? But thoughts on T, and then you can kind of go into this question.
This is why I haven't really entertained the idea of Tee Higgins going anywhere, because once he got the new agent and Joe Burrow started speaking out, I was like, this just feels like they're going to do everything they can. And if that's the case, they have enough money to franchise tag him, and he will make less money probably than, because I think it's $28 or $26 million or something like that. He's going to make $30 million on the market. So it was like, okay, one, the guy needs to get out of Cincy. I don't know if that's happening when Joe Burrow's basically insinuating that if it doesn't happen, he's not going to stay for long, or at least probably try to move somewhere else or what have you, or make a real stink about it. And beyond that, if he did hit the market, you would have had to compete with the Chargers, where we've discussed it. If Tee Higgins went anywhere, I think it makes sense to take like $2 million less if it means going to LA with Herbert and Harbaugh, who have already kind of had their 1 year together and shown some promise. Maybe he helps them get over that hump, because some of these guys don't really care about the money when it comes down to like $5 or so million if it means they're going somewhere it's comfortable and their family can, be at their happiest. So I'm not surprised. I'm glad we at least have the news so we can talk about it less, because I just feel like people keep bringing it up and I'm like, hey, until we know that Tee Higgins is on the market, I don't really enjoy talking about it because it just didn't seem like a reality. Yes, I would absolutely consider trading back into the first round. I would like for it to be a tackle like an Ariante Ursary or something like that, who they really like. But Matthew Golden would probably be the guy. Ibuka, I'm sorry, I like him. Okay. He's just not special enough for me to give up capital to get him. Matthew Golden, I think, is a little bit different. I like his size. I think he's more explosive, and he's got similar kind of ball skills. So I would consider it for Matthew Golden, although, again, I'd prefer an offensive tackle, specifically a left tackle. But, yeah, this is the Higgins news that I was expecting. I'm glad it's finally out there so we don't have to keep putting fantasies in our own heads of him maybe hitting the market or coming to the Patriots when it just seemed like a very far-off reality.
Yeah, and I would have been game for it, right? I think that if he did truly hit the market and they had to pay that top dollar, I understand the injury concerns and things like that, but at the end of the day, those guys don't become available that often. So I would have broke the bank, and I would have been on board with it, but it never really seemed like a possibility. And just reading from this SI article here too, it says that sources say Higgins camp expects to get tagged at some point by the March 4th deadline. And he also writes, this year feels different. The Bengals plan to sign the star receiver to a long-term deal, sources say. So this isn't another one of those Kirk Cousins type, hey, we'll tag you for one more year, we'll drag you along one more year. Like, sounds like they're going to try and get this done. And shit, from what Joe Burrow's kind of the pressure he's put on this team the last year with him and Chase, I mean, that's what you do. And that's what you do as sort of the quarterback. And that's what you do to make those guys happy, right? You sign these guys, you bring them in, you have the money, don't be cheap. And, frankly, good on Joe Burrow for making it happen, and good on them and Tee Higgins for
use your power, young man.
Exactly. So we will. I'm gonna parse through some other wide receiver questions that had to do with Tee Higgins here, because unfortunately, it doesn't sound like they're gonna get to him.